Hey, it's the Nerdy Sports Fan, and it's the NFL offseason, so we got to prep and see what these teams are dealing with, okay? Let's get into the Dallas Cowboys. Jerryland. You got $74 million in cap space. Sounds like a lot. I get it. You got some big time deals that have got to go out, all right? Dak Prescott's declared war on Jerry Jones. Man's going to get his. Amari Cooper's being a little more affable. But those two guys are going to command a lot of ducats, all right? So, with the big name free agents on the team, there's not really going to be a lot of space to bring free agents from outside of the team in the building. I'm sorry. It's just not a likely thing. Now, they will sign free agents. Every team signs free agents. They're just going to be of the also-ran and second and third tier variety. So, the Cowboys have gotten a lot better in recent years at the meat and potatoes kind of things that need to be done for a football team. They've realized that the offensive and defensive fronts matter more than the skill positions, which really wasn't a focus back in the TO years. You know, Jerry Jones being as hands-on as he is with player personnel, man, that was hurting him for a while. They finally addressed the offensive line, and all of a sudden the team started doing well again. So, we don't really know the inner workings of Jerry's brain, but do you think he really has so much faith in Dak Prescott that he thinks that man is the future and worth the $100-some-odd million that he is going to command in a free agent deal? Franchise tag might come into play here. Now, franchise tag for quarterbacks doesn't always work out for the team, Washington, but it might be the route they go. If there's not long-term faith in Dak Prescott, there should not be long-term money attached to him. Now, despite what the fans feel, this is just from an ownership perspective. If he doesn't think Dak's the man on that level, not that he's not been the man for your team, but do you think he's a Russell Wilson? Do you think he's a Drew Brees? Do you think he's a guy that can put your franchise on his back for the next decade, keep him there, because he's winning Super Bowls? Because that's the standard you got to hold these guys to. Winning is the standard for quarterbacks. Is he going to be that guy? I don't know. There's a lot of people that think he will. But if you look around the country and you look around the league, the consensus on Dak Prescott is that he's a playoff quarterback. Sure. Because there's not many great quarterbacks in the league. Is he a Super Bowl quarterback? I don't know. Is he going to be better than Mahomes? Probably not. Is he going to be better than Deshaun Watson? Probably not. Lamar Jackson? Probably not. So, the AFC has done a really good job of bringing in young, talented quarterbacks through the draft. Maybe it's time for the NFC to do that. Maybe it's time for Dallas to do that. We don't know the inner workings of Jerry's brain. I'm sure we would all go insane if we did. But he's not handling Dak the way that he handled Romo. He's not fawning all over the guy. There's probably a few different reasons for that. But he's not the only worry they have. What are they going to do with Michael Bennett? Probably get rid of him. What are they going to do with Robert Quinn? That's a little more important, I think. Jason Garrett's gone. Mike McCarthy's in. What kind of input does McCarthy have? McCarthy's not just going to be a muppet for Jerry Jones like frickin' Jason Garrett was, right? Jason Garrett just, Jerry Jones jammed his forearm up the dude's asshole and puppeted his mouth for past, 10 years? So, I don't think that's what McCarthy's going to allow. I think as a football guy, for as long as he's been in this league, and the fact that he's got himself a shiny Super Bowl ring, he's got a little more clout. And he's likely to stand his ground better than the Clapper. So, what does Mike McCarthy think of Dak Prescott? What does Mike McCarthy think of Amari Cooper? These are serious questions we have to ask to know what is going to happen in Jerry World. So, there's a lot of people out of contract. There's a lot of people that need to be signed. This $74 million that you got in the coffers looks really great on paper, but man, it is nothing in comparison to what you need to bring back in the door. If you sign Dak Prescott to a long-term deal or a franchise tender, either one, it's going to cost a boatload. So Prescott, Amari Cooper, Robert Quinn, that's going to eat up so much damn money that big-time good free agents coming in, not a likely scenario. The only thing that I can see happening is if they plan to move on from one of those bigger name guys, bringing in a free agent to fill that person's position is wise. If they move on from Quinn, bringing in a Shaq Lawson makes sense. If they move on from Dak Prescott, bringing in Tom Brady makes sense. What do you guys think? Personally, I think the makeup of the team and the coach changing in the same offseason would be too much for Jerry Jones. I think he's very nostalgic. I think he likes to stick by his previous decisions. And I think it tore his heart out to let go of Jason Garrett. From what I understand, the only reason the guy got the boot in the first place was because he did not want to deal with some critical restructuring that they were demanding of him if he were to stay. Now I'm talking about power restructuring. The amount of say-so he had in certain things. The amount of oversight he had. If he was willing to give in to those sorts of demands, he still would have stayed. So Jerry Jones is a very nostalgic man. Considering that, and considering he just got rid of Jason Garrett, I really doubt he is going to move away from Dak Prescott. I really doubt he's going to move away from any of the men that are already on this team, the big name guys that are going into free agency. I think they do their damnedest to keep Quinn, Cooper, and Prescott all in the building, and that's going to soak up so much of this cap space that your best additional players are going to come out of the draft. So this is going to be a nice, talented, skill position draft. And thankfully, the Cowboys still do have a talented offensive line. They were just hurt a lot last year. They don't need to replace Ezekiel Elliott. But, add another talented wide receiver in spite of the fact that you got Cooper and Gallup. Because, Cooper definitely had some games where he was hurt last season. That could considerably help the offensive development for Mike McCarthy's system. Because coming out of the Packers, that West Coast quick hit passing offense, it's going to need more targets than what the Cowboys have right now. Defense could sure use some help. I'm Van Der Esch is doing real good, but an upgraded interior defensive line would help. Some upgrades in the defensive secondary would also help. And there's talented players in those positions in the draft. So in spite of not having a lot of very good options free agency-wise, because of the money you're going to have to spend to keep your own free agents, this could be a good transformative offseason. Just based off of the talent in the draft kind of lining up with where you think you need to bring fresh blood in from the Cowboys' perspective. And Mike McCarthy is most certainly an upgrade to Jason Garrett. Make no bones about it. This guy has the pedigree. He's worked with one of the most difficult quarterbacks in the league. So he could bring Dak along. I think McCarthy is a big shift for this Cowboys team. And I think they're going to have a damn good year next season. Re-signing these guys, a good draft, and Mike McCarthy getting the install done as quickly as possible, I do think the Cowboys are going to be in contention. And I think what we're going to see out of this team is that Jason Garrett, the clapper, was holding them back. They're much more talented than what we have seen. This might be Jerry's year. I'm expecting a playoff run from the Cowboys this year. I'd like to know what you guys have to think about it. Do you think they need to get rid of Dak? Do you think they need to lock him up now? Do you think they can do anything to help this defense and maybe get some better targets on offense? Considering Witten, that was a desperation play. I'd like to hear what you have to say. Like and subscribe if you enjoy the content. Hit me up in the comments with what you think the team should do or will do. Check out the rest of the videos. I'm making one of these for every team in the NFL. There's also going to be free agency and draft stuff coming down the pipe. So keep it tuned here. Really appreciate you watching. See you next time.